Everything you see behind me, and even on the trails, in your backyard, or even at school, is connected. Those species rely on each other, and those connections create those interactions. Now, we even have things that we interact with on a daily basis as well. I'm Ranger Allen from Dinosaur Valley State Park, here to talk about interdependency and how the species not only rely on each other, but nature for survival. So let's get started. Before we get into the interactions specifically, it's important that we talk about the different things that make up an ecosystem. Everything you'll find is going to fall into one of two categories. We have biotic, or the living things, and abiotic, the non-living things. So in this area, you'll notice that there's a lot of different things all around me. So take 5 seconds and work to find a few examples of the biotic components in this area. Are you ready? Go. So the biotic, these grasses that I'm standing next to, and the trees that you see all around me. Now, in order for us to have a fully functioning ecosystem, these biotic components, these grasses and the trees, have to interact with the abiotic, the non-living things. So take another 5 seconds and work to find a few examples of abiotic components in this area. Are you ready? Go. So the abiotic, the water that you see next to me, and these rocks that I'm standing on top of. Now, the grasses, the rocks, the water, and the trees, when all those things begin to interact with each other, we now have a fully functioning ecosystem. So now that we've looked at the two main components, let's look at the structure of an ecosystem more in depth to really help us understand some of the interactions that take place. Every ecosystem, whether it be a forest, a desert, tundra, or a river, follow this simple chain. We start out with one single member of a species, or an organism, just like our single sauropodine dinosaur here. And now once our sauropodine dinosaur begins to interact and meet with other members of that same species, we now have a population, or multiple members of the same species occupying the same spot. This population, once it begins to interact with the biotic components in this area, we now have a community, or multiple populations interacting together. And now, as mentioned before, in order for us to have a fully functioning ecosystem, the biotic components have to interact with the abiotic components. So as soon as our community here begins to do that, we now have a fully functioning ecosystem. So now that we've looked at the structure of an ecosystem, let's really look at some of the interactions, not only with this ecosystem, but different areas here at the park. Once we have our fully functional ecosystem with the biotic and abiotic components interacting with each other, we now have what we call interdependency. Interdependency is that dependence not only on other species, but nature in order to survive. So let's take a look back at our ecosystem with our sauropodine dinosaurs here. I want you to take 10 seconds and work to find 3 examples of interdependency in this ecosystem here. Are you ready? Go. So while there's a lot of examples of interdependency in this ecosystem here, some of the most common ones that you may have found definitely include the sauropodine dinosaurs and the plants. They eat the plants in order to provide a food source for themselves. Or the river running through this area as a water source for the plants and the dinosaurs as well. And even the sun helping the plants continue to grow. So while there's a lot of interactions taking place here, if you take one of those away, you lose a lot of function that this ecosystem provides. So now that we've tested your knowledge in this made-up ecosystem that we created, let's really test your knowledge right here in this real-life river ecosystem here at the park. So take another 10 seconds and work to find 3 examples of interdependency in this area here. Are you ready? Go. So again, there's a lot of examples of interdependency down there near the river. A lot of these can include the sun and the plants, helping the plants continue to grow with that sunlight, or the river providing that water source for the different species that inhabit this area. And a new one you may have found include the rocks that you see, helping provide a habitat and offer protection for several species that live in this area. And as before, you take one of those interactions away and we lose a lot of function in this area. And remember, interdependency is that dependence not only on other species, but nature to survive. As you've seen, the biotic and abiotic components of an ecosystem interact on a daily basis. Every species that you'll find not only rely on each other, but nature for survival. So come on out to Dinosaur Valley State Park and try to find some examples of those interactions we talked about and others found here in the park themselves. Thank you for joining me on this journey through nature as we looked at how species not only rely on each other, but nature in order to survive. For Dinosaur Valley State Park, I'm Ranger Allen. Have fun, enjoy nature, and be safe out there. We'll see you next time.